Hey everybody, welcome to the DC Comics booth. Happy Saturday at San Diego Comic-Con 2016. How's everyone doing? Having a good Saturday? All right. Well, we've had a super exciting day here in the booth, but it's about to get even better. We have a demonstration coming from the artist on one of our new Wonder Woman storylines with Greg Rucka, Wonder Woman Year One. We've got Nicola Scott here. Give her a round of applause.
Hi, everyone.
Woo-hoo. So Nicola's going to do a demonstration for us with what she does. Is there any character in particular you...
I'm pretty sure I'm going to be drawing Wonder Woman.
I think you're right. Okay, that sounds good.
I think I'd be letting people down if I didn't.
That sounds good. Perfect. A lot of Wonder Woman news today. Big trailer.
A lot of Wonder Woman news. Did everyone see the trailer? I'm sure it's played up here a couple of times,
A couple of times, yeah.
And I just did a panel upstairs with Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins.
The 75th anniversary one.
The 75th anniversary panel. That was super exciting.
This is Wonder Woman's year. And there's a Wonder Woman in the crowd right here. Here we go.
Woo! Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about process while I'm drawing to kind of distract you from the fact that chances are this will be a really bad picture. Because generally how I work, I have a really non-professional looking setup. I don't have a lot of, high-tech hardware. I have like a fat foam cushion that sits on my lap, and I have like a little thin LED light box that sits on top of that. It's sort of about this size. And generally what I do is this is like a small scale size of what a traditional DC comic art page looks like. When you get it blank, except it's bigger. And on the back, it's blank, which it isn't at the moment. We've got a gorgeous picture of Batman there. And I tend to do all of my roughs on the back of the page backwards, back to front, because I like a really clean finish on the front. I like, if I'm doing pencils, I like the pencils to be really clean and really fast. And if I've got a whole lot of messy information on the back, it doesn't damage the front surface of the paper. It means that all the information that I need is there at my disposal. I can see it, but it's not on the front. What I'm doing at the moment with Wonder Woman is I'm inking it myself, and I'm kind of foregoing the finished pencil stage and going straight into ink. So I've got all the information on the back, all of my anatomy is right, my faces are right, I can rub out that side and it doesn't matter how much I damage the paper. I've got lines going through it with all my perspective points. But on the front, I have a nice, clean, pristine piece of paper, and then I'll start drawing, and I can do that part really fast. So I'm just going to, I don't know, start drawing. Shut up and start drawing, Nicola.
Awesome.
And I don't know, should I talk about, what do people want to hear? Should I talk about process while I'm drawing?
Yeah, sure. I mean, do you kind of, so you're starting with basic shapes, is that right? You kind of
You got to start loose, because... It's easier to rub out. If you're starting too precious, you're looking at a small space rather than at the whole, and you've got to get your proportions right. That's one of the most basic but most important things to be aware of when you're drawing anything, let alone, comics where you have to repeat likenesses 5 panels a page for 20 pages an issue.
Awesome.
So, you got to sit back. You've got to keep it as loose as possible.
Totally. And then kind of refine as you go.
And then kind of refine as you go. And at this stage, it doesn't really matter if you're really off guard. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just sort of having a line where it doesn't belong will actually kind of inform something that your eye can already see. It's like a muscle. Or it's a shadow, and you're just sort of like, oh, that line, it's not right for... the lat that I'm drawing, but it's right for the shadow or the line of the hair or whatever. You become very adept at seeing what is the right line amongst a whole messy lot of lines.
Very cool. So we can start to kind of see the head come together, maybe the shoulder area, the neck start to form. Really, really cool. And now your art on this new Wonder Woman run with Greg Rucka is incredible.
Thanks.
And I think turning into one of the definitive kind of origin stories for Wonder Woman, especially as a part of Rebirth, for sure.
Yeah. Well, it was Greg's idea in the first place, with the double shipping. Greg Rucka, who's writing both of the titles, he's writing the whole Wonder Woman series. He wanted... the artist, because he'll need at least 2 artists if it's double shipping. he wanted the artist to have a sense of ownership over the book that they were working on, as well as him. So it wasn't just the Greg Rucka story being facilitated by, you know, whoever happened to be on that issue.
Very cool.
So he came up with the idea of doing a modern story that would kind of explain some of the contradictory continuity that had happened, that's sort of been happening over the last few decades. Finding a way to sort of find an in-story legitimate reason why that might have happened. And Diana herself being an avatar for truth makes that a really interesting concept.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that was his idea for the modern story. And for the other story, for the B story, he said, I want to retell the origin because she hasn't had an in-continuity retelling of her origin since George Perez did it 30 years ago. So it's time.
We're due.
And we're absolutely due.
Absolutely.
And it's great to sort of have it happen in her 75th year. It's really apt. It's great to have it at a time when her movie is not that far away, that she made such an incredible impact in Batman vs. Superman.
Absolutely.
That amazing entrance and that awesome music.
Totally.
I could watch just that introduction on a loop.
I had to pull Nicola away from watching the Justice League trailer so that we could do this demonstration.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. Very exciting, very exciting.
It all looks good. Does it feel kind of different working with Wonder Woman this year compared to some of the other work that you've done with the weight of the 75th and all that?
The audience, I feel like for a long time, the audience for Wonder Woman hasn't been, like the core fan base for Wonder Woman hasn't been getting the Wonder Woman that they recognize or that they are looking for. They're getting sort of really interesting, different versions.
Sure, sure.
And they're kind of looking for like a classic. They want the classic back.
Yeah, and definitely going back to the beginning.
Yeah, and that's kind of what Greg is hoping to do.
Yeah.
And, you know, he and I have been talking about wanting to do an origin story together for about 10 years.
No.
Feeling pretty confident that it would never happen, or if it does, it'll be, you know, in 20 years. You know, it was just not something that ever seemed likely. It was just this abstract idea that we would hopefully, you know, just get to do at some point, but, you know, maybe we'd just sort of have to be resigned to talking about it. And earlier this year, DC approached Greg about coming back to the title because his run 13 years ago, it is absolutely my favorite Wonder Woman run
really
from the
nice.
modern era. Yeah, I feel like I love George's origin, and I feel like Greg's run, he was on the series for about 3 years, I think. It felt like that was the natural progression of her story 10 years later.
Sure.
It felt like, you know, now she's an experienced character, but it felt like George's character with 10 years more wisdom.
Sure.
In the outside world.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he's getting to do exactly that right now by telling the origin story again himself, while at the same time simultaneously telling the modern story.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for it to be happening right now, it feels like the audience is there, and not just the hardcore Wonder Woman fans. It feels like the greater geek audience and even the mainstream audience that had kind of forgot about Wonder Woman, like she's an old-fashioned character.
Right.
It feels like they're excited for the potential of the character. They're remembering, oh yeah, she's important.
Yeah, she's
and
powerful.
So,
she's,
yeah. There's a reason why she's the top of the food chain.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That's right.
So it's super exciting to, one, have a chance to work on the character. Like I've had lots of opportunities to draw her in various books. But this is the first time that I felt like I'm really doing what I want to do.
Cool.
Because Greg and I are really on the same page about how we see the character.
Very cool.
And that we're getting to do it at this time. This time feels a little magic. When we're on the 75th anniversary panel, Patty Jenkins was talking a lot about the production of the film and how it felt magical. It felt like any second now it's got to go wrong, right? Because everything's going so right. It feels like magic. It feels like it's, you know, a providence.
Yeah.
And
hopefully it all went right. hopefully the magic didn't wear off.
I feel the same thing. We kept going, at each other as we were just like, it feels different.
Yeah.
You know, I've had opportunities I've been offered the Wonder Woman book before, and it hasn't quite felt like the right time or the right writer or the right story that they want to tell, or just sort of not quite right for me and what I hope for the character and how I see the character and really what I feel like I can bring to a book. Where now it feels like now is absolutely the time, and I'm so lucky that it's actually happening for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So happy and so lucky.
Yeah. This drawing is really starting to come together now. We can see her face really starting to take shape, some of her hair. Now, how long does it usually take you for, say, a page, like a normal kind of paneled page, not necessarily splash?
Right.
Yeah.
I tend to work in blocks of 5.
Okay.
And I would say I manage to do, if I'm going at good speed, 5 pages every 7 days.
Nice. That's good. So just under a page a day about, yeah.
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 Or just over a page a day.
Just over, excuse me, you're right, of course. And the level of detail in your art, that's amazing that you can get that many done in a week.
Thanks. Well, one of the things that I really concentrate on when I'm working, especially when I'm working with someone like Greg, who is a very character-driven writer, is it's really important to kind of nail the emotion of any given scene. You know, he writes really deep, sophisticated stories, and that put the characters through a fair amount. And it's really kind of my job to sell his intention.
Sure.
And you know, certainly when I'm reading through the script, you know, I'll get the script, I'll read through the whole thing a couple of times. And then on like my 3rd reading, when I'm going to start doing some thumbnails, I'll act out all the parts. I have an acting background. And I'm looking for sort of layers of subtext. I'm looking for sort of interesting line readings. You know, it's like if someone's having an argument, it doesn't necessarily mean they've got a shouty face on.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, sometimes it can just be a really quiet disagreement that's really loaded with emotion.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, that sort of subtlety is half the joy in doing the work for me.
Sure.
And, you know, it's one of the reasons why Greg and I like working together, is because he's really likely to write a story like that.
Yeah.
And he knows that I can sort of mine it for the right information and deliver.
Wow. Really?
And so, you know, working on Wonder Woman's origin story, we're sort of dealing with the biggest moment in her life, and subsequently the biggest moment in the history of the Amazons.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there they are in their, you know, beautiful land, living their really sort of interesting, rich, cultured lives. And out of nowhere, a plane crash lands.
Yeah.
And for the first time in thousands of years, not only are they breached, but there's a man on the island.
Yeah.
And, you know, that man sort of tells of what's happening on the outside world. Like, you know, not literally, but things have clearly changed since they were last out there.
Right.
And to then have the decision, you know, to deal with this, and to then have the decision, I'm going to take my earring off because I can hear it rattling.
Oh. I think we might have lost some.
I got it.
You got it? All right.
Yeah. Can you still hear me?
Good.
It's not just sort of dealing with the reality that, you know, the outside world has impinged on their home, but it's that sense of responsibility of, well, what do we do about it? How do we best serve these people? What is our role in what the gods have kind of allowed to happen? Sure.
Very cool.
And within that, they have to choose to send someone out. It's a really interesting moment for Diana and her mother Hippolyta to sort of deal with the fact that she's leaving.
Yeah.
And no one's left ever.
Right. It kind of defines their future and ours.
You know, random Amazon number 5. It's her daughter. It's the princess. It's
Yeah.
everyone has a relationship to Diana.
Sure. So we've got about 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay.
Here.
Draw
Okay,
fast.
yeah. So we're at the inking stage here, right?
Yeah.
Looking through, yeah.
So I'm currently working with a marker that I usually work with a marker quite a bit finer than this, but I'll get more result with this faster.
Excellent. It's incredible what you can do in such a short amount of time. And already you can really see her starting to come together.
Could have got a little further if I wasn't talking so much.
So as the artist on Wonder Woman, do you have any secrets from the movie? Anything you can share? I'm sure you got to be tight-lipped about it, huh?
I have to be tight-lipped
Oh,
about it,
man, of course.
absolutely.
I tried, guys.
But
I'm sorry.
after the panel,
I want to know too. So.
Liam Sharp and I were chatting with Patty Jenkins, and she was telling us some stuff about the movie. She was like, "Don't tell anybody, but this happens," and we were like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" and she sort of brought up a kind of interesting thing because she's in the editing phase at the moment. And, part of her excitement about, the movie happening now is kind of reflecting or sort of she's relating it to stuff that's happening in the world at the moment. Really sort of cultural upheaval.
Sure.
And, one of the things that she was talking about, I said to her, that's something that Greg and I are putting in our book. Hold on to your hat because we're going there. And she was like, oh my God, that's so exciting.
That's
and
awesome.
It was sort of making her tear up a little bit.
Wow.
So, it was really, really quite a sort of buzz to...
Yeah. We'll have no
talk
shortage.
shop.
Yeah. We'll have no shortage of amazing Wonder Woman work, it sounds like, coming out.
I know. How lucky are we? We're living, for Wonder Woman fans, to be living in an age where, Grant Morrison and Yannick Paquette are writing Wonder Woman. When, Jill Thompson has a beautiful-looking watercolor book coming out for Wonder
absolutely.
Woman.
The true Amazon,
Renee Deliz's beautiful Legends of Wonder Woman, which is all ages, and it's so cute. And got nominated for an Eisner. It's amazing. We're sort of really being spoilt with riches at the moment, if you're a Wonder Woman fan.
We are, yeah.
And it all feels like it's delivering for the character. None of it feels like it's a random, why is she called Wonder Woman?
No,
that doesn't make any sense.
Absolutely not. Well, this is looking amazing. We're going to give this out to a lucky fan once you're done.
Cool.
Yeah. So we're going to have to think of some Wonder Woman trivia.
So I better finish it.
I think, yeah.
Well, I've been talking Wonder Woman all weekend.
I'm sure.
Because I've been doing a lot of press.
I'm sure.
A lot of really crazy things. So I've been talking Wonder Woman nonstop.
Yeah.
I feel like some of the stuff that's coming out of my mouth, I was just telling my husband, when you get in your car and you drive home and you arrive there and you have no memory of the journey, I'm finding myself sort of mid-sentence thinking, what am I saying at the moment? I don't even know what I've said. Am I repeating myself? Am I just word vomiting out at people?
It's all sounding very good.
Freaking me out.
It sounds good. This looks incredible.
Okay.
This looks amazing.
I might have to go into a Sharpie for the hair so I can get through it really fast. Sorry, whoever gets this, but you're going to get some messy hair.
I don't think anyone is going to be feeling sorry about getting this piece of art. I've got to see a lot of head shakes. That's not happening.
Usually I spend a good deal of time on the hair.
Yeah.
I become a little hypnotized, and I'll be there for hours.
You can really see the strands in the hair that you draw. It's pretty incredible.
If anyone ever read the Blackest Night Wonder Woman book, that was the first time Greg and I got to work on Wonder Woman, there were actually times when I would just meditate drawing her hair.
Really?
I would go crazy. If you look at the detail there.
Yeah.
Sometimes her hair is like, it's becoming like taking over the panel or the page, and I'm like, oh, rub it back a little bit. She's gone super
hair.
diva with that hair. Generally, it's like saving the best to last. Yeah. Well, this is just mess, so sorry.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, I think as you finish up here, why don't we go to a little Wonder Woman trivia and see if we can give this piece of art away to somebody.
Sure.
I'm thinking, as we're talking about Wonder Woman's origin, maybe if someone can tell me what series Wonder Woman first appeared in, this gentleman right here. All-Star Comics? That is correct. All-Star, we got it. We got it here. We got it here. So this gentleman is going to win a beautiful Wonder Woman sketch by Nicola Scott as we finish up here. And as Nicola finishes up, let's give her a round of applause for doing such an amazing demo here. And like we've been talking about, it's Wonder Woman's 75th anniversary, so we've got tons of stuff in the booth here. Nicola's going to be doing a signing soon with us, so stick around. We've got tons more Wonder Woman stuff coming up, and take a look around the booth. And thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.